The story unfolds with a young man named Suijin. Despite his kind heart, he struggled with poverty and loneliness, eking out a living through small jobs from his school. His nights were spent on the cold streets as he couldn't afford a home. On a scorching sunny day, Suijin worked as a lifeguard at the school's pool. The kids, oblivious to his struggles, decided to taunt him, tossing his only companion, a cat, into the pool. Without a second thought, Suijin leaped in after his feline friend, even though he couldn't swim. The pool seemed like a watery grave until he opened his eyes to find his cat alive and well. To his surprise, it wasn't his friend Ranchu who saved him but a girl named Riku Ray. Riku Ray, the daughter of the vice president of God Grave Tech, one of the world's leading gaming companies, proved to be Suijin's unexpected savior. As he cleaned the poolside, he couldn't help but steal glimpses of the smart and pretty girl who had rescued him. Later that night, Suijin, as always, used electricity from the nearby girls' dormitory to play his favorite game, Dungeon Century. In this virtual realm, he was a god, defeating formidable foes with low-level equipment in mere seconds. It was a stark contrast to his real-life struggles. During one gaming session, he heard a distressed cry for help from a girl named Ray, being chased by a mushroom monster. Without hesitation, Suijin intervened, swiftly defeating the creature. Grateful for his assistance, Ray approached him, and they struck up a conversation. However, their interaction was cut short when a power outage shut down Suijin's computer. Unbeknownst to him, Ray observed the entire scene from the dormitory window. When Suijin, attempting to fix his computer, ended up on a lamppost, Ray's roommate misinterpreted the situation. A pillow was hurled his way, accompanied by accusations of being a pervert. In the days that followed, Suijin found himself entangled in a digital dance with Ray. He overheard her discussing the game with her friend, realizing that the character he had saved was indeed her. His friend warned him against harboring feelings for someone out of his league, a stark reminder of the vast social divide between them. Despite trying to convince himself to forget about Ray, the universe had other plans. A friend request from Ray sent his heart into a frenzy, and what followed were several blissful months spent getting to know her. He reminded himself that their connection could only exist within the confines of the game, as he considered himself a loser in the real world. As their virtual relationship deepened, Ray expressed a desire to meet the real person behind the character. Suijin, torn between his feelings and the reality of their disparate lives, reluctantly agreed. In that moment, he realized he had fallen for her, yet he resigned himself to the fact that their connection could only exist in the digital realm. However, the bubble of their idyllic virtual world was about to burst. A notification cruelly announced the impending end of Suijin's favorite game, Dungeon Century. The company decided to shut it down, shattering his sanctuary and leaving him in a state of despair. He roamed the campus like a zombie, feeling as if the world itself was crumbling around him. Meanwhile, Ray's father presented her with a mysterious box, instructing her to follow its contents if something were to happen to him. Despite her worries, he assured her it was just a precaution. He revealed the impending closure of Dungeon Century and the introduction of a new game with world-changing abilities. As he asked for forgiveness, hinting that Ray had met someone in the game, she blushed, unaware that her father had been monitoring her digital escapades. As the impending end of Dungeon Century weighed heavily on Suijin's shoulders, his friend Ranchu noticed his distress. Upon learning the reason behind Suijin's depression, Ranchu suggested that he should try talking to Ray in the real world. However, Suijin, consumed by feelings of unworthiness, dismissed the idea, convinced that he had nothing to offer her. In the virtual realm, Ray waited for Suijin in a pub, where she overheard a rumor about an item called the Evening Song Flower. Supposedly, whoever found it could have any single wish granted. With only a week left before the game's closure, Ray shared this information with Suijin, hoping they could make the most of their remaining time. Suijin, however, couldn't shake the feeling that to Ray, this was just another game, and he was just another game buddy. As they sought refuge from the rain in the game, Ray expressed her desire to find the Evening Song Flower before the game's end. Suijin, despite his sadness about the impending closure, decided to support her, bringing a smile to Ray's face. However, the looming transition to the new game called Grave Buster added an air of uncertainty to their connection. The day Dungeon Century was set to end arrived, and Suijin, delayed by work, found Ray's message with the pub manager. Rushing to join her, he discovered the game world in chaos. Ray had gone ahead to search for the Evening Song Flower, leaving Suijin anxious about her safety. Meanwhile, in the real world, Ray's father, still monitoring the game, encountered a red-haired girl who demanded access to a tomb filled with secrets. When he refused, she killed him within the game, setting off a chain of events that would have devastating consequences. As Ray tried to find the elusive flower in a field of blossoms, a hacked monster appeared, wreaking havoc and killing all the players. Suijin finally entered the game, witnessing the destruction around him. Meeting the pub manager, he received Ray's urgent message and hurried toward her location. Upon reuniting with Ray, Suijin discovered she had been defeated in a fight against the monster. Grateful for his constant support, Ray apologized for not finding the evening song flower, intending to give it to him as a gift. Overwhelmed with emotion, Suijin cried, and his tears fell onto a flower Ray was holding, causing it to bloom and transform into the sought-after item. Their joy was short-lived, as the monster returned to claim the item. In a sacrificial act, Ray gave her life to protect it, leaving Suijin grief-stricken as the game finally shut down, marking the end of their virtual connection. The following day dawned with thick fog enveloping the city, mirroring Suijin's sense of hopelessness as he trudged to his job. Unexpectedly, he spotted Ray, petting his cat. Attempting to slip away unnoticed, Suijin was halted by Ray. She revealed that she had finally figured out that he was the one she had been playing with in the game all along. Grateful for his constant support, she thanked him for his help inside the game. However, Suijin, burdened by the guilt of not being able to save Ray during the crucial moment in the game, didn't feel deserving of her thanks. Ray, in a motivating gesture, insisted that he could save her in the new game. Overwhelmed with happiness, Suijin's jubilation led him to accidentally destroy his bike, earning a laugh from Ray. The joy was short-lived when Suijin learned about Ray's father's death from a friend the next day. Rushing to Ray's dormitory, he discovered that she had already left, picked up by people from the company for her father's funeral. Gossip surrounded Ray, suggesting that her father had left her with a substantial debt, and now she had to take responsibility for paying it off. Suijin, staring at the funeral coverage on TV, suddenly had a vision of the past, realizing that he knew Ray's father. Invited to meet Ray in her father's office the next day, she handed him a box her father had given her, containing a game console called C-Bay. The console, resembling a phone, was intended for the new game, Grave Busters. As Suijin touched the device, it scanned him for recognition and began loading to activate. Puzzled about why Ray's father chose him for this, Ray dropped a bombshell: she wasn't Rikuyuki's biological daughter. Adopted by him, Ray was unaware of her past, and the reason for her father's instruction to give the console to Suijin remained a mystery. Just as the console activated, displaying an unexpected wealth of over 10 billion yen that Suijin had inherited, a message from Rikuyuki played. In a shocking revelation, Rikuyuki declared himself as Ray's father and Suijin's grandpa. During the shocking revelations from his newfound grandpa, Suijin discovered that the immense wealth left to him was intended for both him and Ray to live happily together. Overwhelmed with joy, Suijin couldn't help but blush as he envisioned a future with Ray. His grandpa continued to unravel the mystery, disclosing that Ray was not his biological daughter, but the child of comrades who shared a common purpose. Tragically, Ray's parents had been eliminated by an enemy before Rikuyuki took her in and raised her as his own. As the revelations unfolded, a scream from Ray pierced the air, signaling that the guests who had come to meet her were attempting to take her away. Suijin, determined to save her, rushed towards Ray but was brutally beaten by the assailants. In a desperate attempt to rescue her, he declared that he would pay off her father's debt. However, the guests took Ray away, leaving Suijin in a dire situation. Realizing that the wealth left by his grandpa was locked inside the game console, Suijin refused to give up. He hopped on his bike and chased after Ray, prompting the assailants to use their car to escape. In an unexpected turn, a mysterious figure named Silicon appeared in the car, destroying it and knocking Ray unconscious. Suijin arrived on the scene just in time to witness Silicon's appearance. Silicon delivered a message from his master, stating that he would be waiting for Suijin inside the game called Grave Busters. Back at home, Suijin contemplated his next steps when a green-haired woman named Twin Star materialized. She introduced herself as his servant and called him her master. In an instant, Suijin found himself transported into the game world of Grave Busters, landing in a vast desert. Twin Star, revealing her true form, informed Suijin that he would face a test to determine if he was worthy of being a tomb guardian. Uninterested initially, Suijin's attention was piqued when the monster mentioned that passing the test was the key to saving Ray. Tomb raiders appeared in the game, seeking the treasure within the tomb, and Suijin reluctantly accepted the responsibility to protect it. As the test began, the monster summoned Shasta, the goddess of the desert, who displayed surprising affection for Suijin, breaking the seal on his memories. In a flood of recollection, Suijin remembered his grandfather, the one who had given him his scarf. The plot thickens as Suijin and his grandfather, revealed to be a giant monster, find themselves under attack by tomb raiders in the virtual world of grave busters. Seeking refuge inside the tomb, Suijin's grandfather surprises everyone by transforming into a giant robot, giving them the means to fight back. However, their lack of familiarity with the controls leaves them vulnerable, and the raiders heavily damage the robot. Facing imminent defeat, Suijin's determination prevails as he discovers a gun within the robot. In a desperate attempt to counter an enemy sniper, Suijin's blast is countered, resulting in significant damage. The situation worsens when raiders hypnotize Shasta and summon giant insects to infiltrate the damaged robot. As Suijin's grandfather begins to fade away, he imparts a crucial mission, to protect Bango's tomb, assuring Suijin that it will aid him in saving Rei. Consumed by sadness and anger, Suijin awakens hidden powers, emerging victorious in the battle against the raiders. Shasta informs him that he has passed the test and earned the title of Tomb Guardian. However, she also reveals that he is the last of his kind. Bid farewell by Shasta, Suijin encounters a mysterious woman who declares him unworthy of the title. After being shot, Suijin returns to the real world. In the real world, a mysterious caller named Temujin contacts Suijin, urging him to meet inside the game. Temujin shares a picture of Rei sleeping, igniting Suijin's concern. Panicking, he delves into research on grave busters, with the help of his friend Ranshu and a game enthusiast acquaintance. Their investigation leads to the discovery that Dark Tiger, the ruler of grave busters, heads an organization named Precious. Utilizing vast wealth, Precious controls the game world while accumulating power by stealing from other players. As Suijin delves deeper into the complexities of grave busters, he learns about an organization called Totem, led by the enigmatic and ruthless Temujin. Totem is in direct conflict with Precious, the organization controlled by Dark Tiger, the ruler of grave busters. Temujin, known as a vile man willing to do anything to win, creates anxiety for Suijin, who fears for Rei's safety. Temujin visits Rei within the game, and despite her demands for release, he merely laughs and leaves her alone. Meanwhile, the Collector, the mysterious woman who shot Suijin, intervenes to save innocent players captured by the raiders that attacked Suijin and his grandfather earlier. Revealing herself as the Collector, she exhibits formidable power, effortlessly defeating Wild Wolf and his gang, known as Tomb Raiders. Suijin, filled with concern for Rei, summons Twin Star once again and re-enters the game world. Meanwhile, the narrative shifts to two friends, Takashi and Mikan, living in poor conditions in a slum area. Mikan is gravely ill, and they dream of escaping their dire circumstances. Takashi, determined to earn enough money within the game to cure Mikan's illness, logs in and attempts to enter a martial arts tournament. Facing rejection due to a lack of entry fee, Takashi encounters Suijin, who is guided by Twin Star. Suijin helps Takashi locate the special arena where a martial arts tournament is taking place. While watching the matches, Takashi accidentally causes a disruption, leading to Suijin inadvertently knocking out one of the competitors. As a consequence, they are forced to face the Viking warrior, the enraged opponent, in the final round. Takashi, driven by a pressing need for prize money, apologizes to Suijin for involving him in the situation. An announcement in the arena adds an extra rule, having the abilities of the intruders, further complicating their challenge. Meanwhile, Rei is taken to a secret chamber by Temujin, where she receives a red console, signifying her inclusion in their order. The martial arts tournament continues, and Takashi utilizes the power of his magical book, which converts photographs into formidable abilities. However, every time he harnesses this power, the memories contained within the photographs vanish. Willing to sacrifice these memories for the sake of saving his friend Mikan, Takashi tearfully engages in the battle against the Viking warrior. Witnessing Takashi's desperation, Suijin intervenes, stopping him from further using the book's power. Suijin, concerned about the loss of Takashi's precious memories with Mikan, decides to take on the Viking warrior himself. Despite his amateur fighting skills, Suijin struggles against the seasoned opponent. In a critical moment, the Viking warrior attempts a final blow, only to be halted by Twin Star. Attempting to transform into a formidable beast, Twin Star inadvertently turns into a cute form. Seizing the opportunity, the Viking warrior grabs her, prompting Takashi to intervene and rescue Twin Star. Unfazed, Takashi withstands the Viking warrior's attacks, impressing Twin Star with his courage. She transforms into her angelic form to save Takashi, surprising the crowd with her versatility. Twin Star further astounds everyone by transforming into an S-class two-headed dragon, swiftly defeating the Viking warrior with a single strike. The crowd marvels at Suijin's ability to control such a high-ranking familiar, raising questions about his identity. After the match, Suijin meets the person he sought and generously decides to give all the prize money to Takashi for Miken's treatment. Well, that's all we have for you today. Don't forget to like and subscribe and turn on the notification bell so you never miss out on another video.